Hello guys, welcome to another session. So here in this session, we will be talking about how you're going to handle hypothetical questions which are related to governance and administration. So guys, these questions are designed to simulate the real world challenges that you might face as a civil servant, and they are going to test your ability to make sound, ethical and effective decision. The decisions which is based on reality. Okay, though the question is hypothetical, but you need to give an answer which is practical. So the panel here want to see how you analyze the situation and will consider the impact of your decisions and come up with practical solutions to the problem. So see, in my interviews and my friends' interviews, my mentees' interviews, several times, several hypothetical questions were asked. And what we have understood from this is it's not just about giving the right answer. So there is no, again, right answer for these questions also. It's about demonstrating that you can think critically. So here, understand that they are looking for certain qualities from your side. So first one is whether you are a person who gives thoughtful answer, whether you can think critically. Can you weigh different options which are available in front of you and make informed or thoughtful decision that serve ultimately the public interest? So irrespective of what the answer that you're giving, if these components are there, if these qualities that you can show in your answer, then you're done with it. So it's not about the answer, it's about, so that's what the reverse engineering, this is what you need to know. You need to know what they're looking for. And once you know what they're looking for, you need to cater to their demand rather than giving a fixed answer. There is no fixed answer for these questions. Understand that first. Different people will give different answers, but if all of them can convey the same meaning, then the answer is perfect, right? So what they are looking for is these qualities. If the different answers have these different qualities, then the answer is there. Whatever the situation, you give the right answer, but without looking at these qualities, you're giving a theoretical answer, that's not going to work out. So that is what you need to understand, and that's what I'm again stressing on. So hypothetical questions that they ask, in fact, it is designed to put you in the shoes of civil servant in the actual situation. Though it is hypothetical, they'll give you a situation and how you will handle that real world situation. So that will test your ability to stay calm under pressure. That will test your team management ability. That will test your leadership skill, right? So your integrity, your fairness, and everything will be tested over there. And in fact, these are what they're testing. It's not about whether you can simply solve the question or not. These are the qualities that they're looking at. So these questions typically involve governance challenge that we'll be discussing, administrative crisis that we'll be discussing. Then there can be ethical dilemmas also. So they are meant to test several skills like your decision making, your problem solving, your ethical judgment, your strategic thinking. So guys, these are all will be checked in these questions. So you need to know what you need to give. It's not just about answering that one particular question. It's not sticking to that. It's about showing the qualities, demonstrating what you can do, right? So let's start. So decision making, that's what they're actually checking. So how do you make decision when you face such kind of difficult situations, or you are with different and difficult choices? Again, problem solving, can you come up with practical solutions to such complex problems? Ethical judgment, are whether your decisions guided by ethical principles? Then strategic thinking, can you think about the short term and long term consequences of your actions? So all these will be looked at. For example, you might be asked how you will handle a situation where public protests are escalating, getting into violence, and how you will allocate the limited resources during a natural disaster. So the panel is not necessarily looking for one right answer here. There is no one right answer here. They're more interested in how you approach the problem, what all factors that you consider, what all decisions you will think about, and whether your solution is practical ultimately, whether the solution that is given is ethical, whether it is effective, whether it is based on reality. These are what they are looking at. So I hope this is very clear. You can look at certain levels here. If you get such kind of questions, identify the problem, consider the stakeholders, weighing the options, make a decision, consider the impact. All this is what you need to follow. So whenever you get hypothetical questions, you need to keep the structure in mind, right? So see, what's the advantage of having the structure? Because you will not get disturbed or diverted. This is what you need to address. These are the core problem. This is a structure in which you need to give them the answer. Irrespective of what answer you give, what question they ask, what all things you need to fit in, it doesn't matter. Identify the problem first. You tell them straight away, this is a problem here, right? And then you consider the stakeholders who are involved in that. Then you weigh the different options which are available. Take a decision, and you also need to consider the impact of the decision that you have taken. So start by clearly defining the problem or challenge that you're facing. So that shows the panel that you understood the situation, right? Then think about who all are affected by the situation. Are you dealing with the public? I'm talking about stakeholders. Or are you dealing with the government officials or specific communities? So identifying the key stakeholders help you to consider the broader impact of your decision, that make your decision more fair, right? So you weigh the options, consider the different courses of actions available in front of you. What are the pros and cons of each of the options which are available in front of you? Think critically about the short term and long term consequences of each of these decisions. Again, make a decision, choose the best course of action, and explain why you have chosen it. So be sure, that you justify your decision based on ethical principles, and you always consider the greater public good. So these are things that you need to focus when you're answering the question. And finally, you also reflect on the impact of the decision that you have taken. How will it affect the stakeholders? Will it resolve the immediate issue while also ensuring long-term stability? You need to talk about immediately this is what's going to happen, but over a period of time, this is what's going to happen. So identify the issue, the situation, the problem, consider the stakeholder, weigh the options, make the decision, talk about the impact. If I want to give you an example, see, if you're asked, how you will be handling a situation where a natural disaster has hit a district, right? So you have been given a situation, natural disaster, and how you're going to handle the situation. So first, what you need to do, identify the problem. So you will assess the immediate needs, such as, providing food, water, shelter, and, for those who are affected. So you identified the problem. Next, what you will do, stakeholders. So I would coordinate with the local authorities, NGOs, and the government to ensure that relief efforts reach everyone in need. And then options. After considering the available resources, I would prioritize rescue operations and ensure that medical assistance is provided to the injured. And then I would also set up communication channels to update the public and prevent the spread of misinformation. So you're making a decision. And finally, you will ensure that long-term rehabilitation efforts are put in place to help people to rebuild their life back. So when we talk about rehabilitation, we can talk about economic rehabilitation, social rehabilitation, not only physical rehabilitation. Okay, so all these are very important. I hope this is very clear. I gave the example, so you can practice it. You can take some different situations. I'll give you a couple of more different situations also. So again, you need to see, one of the biggest challenge when you're answering this kind of hypothetical question is balancing the ethical consideration with the practical solutions, right? So when it comes to practicality, sometimes ethical considerations, if you take it, it's very difficult. See, ethics are non-negotiable in public service, but you also have to consider the practical challenges that comes with governance, especially if you're in a crisis situation like a natural disaster. So how can you strike the right balance then? You always prioritize integrity. There is no question about that. Absolute integrity, non-negotiable, uncompromisable integrity is something what you need to show in front of the board. Whether you have it or not, that's a separate question. That's different. That's your personal choice. Always ensure that your decisions are guided by ethical principles like integrity, transparency, and fairness. So this is very much essential in public service. Acknowledge the practical challenges here. See, recognizing the practical challenges for or of governance, like you have limited resources, public opposition will be there, time constraints will be there. So acknowledge these, and when you're acknowledging these challenges, you show that you understand the real world complexities of administration. So you know the scenario, you understand the real situation also, and the best answer to such kind of hypothetical questions that you get, that you often strike a balance between ethics and practicality. You cannot completely go with practicality, then you need to compromise ethics sometimes. You cannot go with ethics completely because then it won't be practical. So you need to strike a balance between the two. That's exactly what they're looking for. So you should aim to find solutions that are both ethically sound and feasible in the given situation. Okay, so for example, if you're asked how you will handle a situation where a senior official pressurizes you to bend the rules for some political reason, what you can say, I will respect the senior official person, of course, because that's my duty. That's the rule. But I would refuse to compromise on ethical standards. That's my personal integrity. So I would explain that the decision must be made based on legal and ethical guidelines. And I would offer to find an alternative solution that satisfies both the public interest and the officials' concerns. Correct. So this is how you can do. Again, in one of my interviews, I was asked about a situation involving public protest. So here I emphasize that maintaining law and order is extremely important, but it is also critical and crucial to respect people's rights to protest peacefully. They also have the right to protest. So I proposed a solution that involved, engaging the protest leaders, addressing their concerns through dialogue, and ensuring that the public safety was maintained. And if there is a need to use of force, a limited use of force in proportion will be there. Only not to escalate the situation into a violence. So this approach allowed me to balance the ethics on one side and practical governance on the other side. I'm not compromising the safety of public, not compromising on law and order situation, but at the same time, I'm here to address their solution, their problems, and also respecting their right to protest peacefully. So again, guys, hypothetical questions involve crisis situations. These are designed to test your ability to remain calm under pressure and make quick, effective decision. So there can be different types of hypothetical questions, but if you are put in a crisis situation, here you need to sometimes bend ethics also, and that we'll discuss that situation. But you need to take quick decisions, effective decisions. So whether you are dealing with a natural disaster or a public unrest or an administrative failure, your approach should focus on prioritizing public safety. At the same time, you also think about long-term solutions. So what they're looking for in crisis situation, the first step is to address the immediate needs such as public safety, medical assistance, and basic resources like food, water. So that shows you can stay calm and focused on what's most urgent. So stay calm and focus on immediate needs. That's most critical. That's what they're actually looking for in a crisis situation. Again, in crisis situation, you will need to work with multiple stakeholders, including government agencies, NGOs, local communities. So effective coordination is very important in managing the crisis efficiently. So coordinate with different stakeholders. That's very important. Again, after addressing the immediate crisis, now think about how you can prevent similar situations for the future. So this shows that you are thinking strategically and planning for long-term stability. So here you need to also talk about implementing, long-term solutions. For example, if you're asked how you will handle a flood situation in a district, what you can say, I'll say from my side, my immediate priority would be to ensure the safety of the affected population by organizing evacuation efforts and providing food, water, and shelter. So that the immediate needs. Then I'll say I'll coordinate with the local authorities, NGOs, and state government to ensure that the relief efforts are well organized and reach the most vulnerable population. That means I'm coordinating with the stakeholders. And then in the long term, I would focus on rebuilding infrastructure and implementing flood management systems to prevent future disasters. Here I'm talking about long-term solutions. So in one of my interviews also, I was asked about, handling a natural disaster in a remote district. I emphasized the importance of quick decision making to save lives, but also talked about the need for building resilient infrastructure in disaster prone areas. So, by addressing both the immediate crisis and long term solutions, I was able to show that I could handle high pressure situations effectively. So that's what this is what they're actually looking for, and that's why it's very important. Again, in one of my interviews, I was asked a hypothetical question about how I will handle a situation where public protests were escalating into violence. So the panel here wanted to see how I will balance maintaining law and order with respecting the rights of the protesters. I have given IPS as my option, first option, so this is the question that I was expecting. So, of course, I started by acknowledging the importance of public safety and emphasize that my first priority would be to de-escalate the situation to prevent further violence. That's the immediate need. So, talk about the immediate need. And then I explained that I'll engage with the protest leaders to understand their concerns and work towards a peaceful resolution. So, here I'm coordinating with the stakeholders. At the same time, I'll ensure that the law enforcement was present to maintain order, but I would instruct them to avoid excessive force. That means ethical consideration is there. So you will be using only proportional force. You will be using limited force only to maintain law and order and to ensure the public safety, and only not to escalate the situation into a violence. So finally, I talked about importance of addressing the root cause of the protest by engaging with the policymakers to ensure that the protesters' grievances were heard and resolved in the long term. So here you're giving a long-term solution. So if you see, this response will allow you to demonstrate your ability to make quick, practical decision, at the same time showing that you could balance ethical consideration with the need for effective governance. So this is what the panel is expecting. So if you can give this kind of answer, what they're actually expecting, it's not a fit in, it's not a, one answer for, the question, right? So if different people are giving the answer, they will give different answers. But there are certain things which should come in common, that the qualities that they're looking for. Are you giving a thoughtful decision? Are you giving a practical decision? Are you staying calm in the crisis? Are you showing that leadership skill? Are your decisions is guided by the principles of integrity, fairness, right? So these are what they're looking for. So hypothetical questions are very important, and this will help you to score very good also. So they'll test your decision-making skill, they'll test your ethical judgment and your ability to handle complex governance challenges. So use a structured approach, break down the problem, consider the stakeholders, weigh your options, and make a sound decision. Always balance ethical considerations with practical solutions. And when handling the crisis situations, prioritize public safety, but also thinking about long-term stability. So that's about this session, guys, and thank you so much. You need to keep practicing it. Remember the steps and the structure which I have given to you. Keep practicing it. This is exactly what will actually help you to solve these questions in the most effective way. And that will give you a very good score also in the interview. So if you like the video, share it with your friends. And if you're looking for mentorship program, you can get in touch with me. So see you guys in the next video.